Hello, and welcome back to Aubrey Books and Coffee. Please grab your favorite beverage of choice and join me. So, it's Halloween time! It's Spooktober! I'm so excited, you guys. Not only do I have so much fun with October and Halloween and dressing up, and I'm just obviously a huge kid at heart, but I'm also excited because it's my birth month. It's my birth month. It's my birth month. Gonna party like it's my birth month. So we're gonna have fun this month, you guys. Now, start off, of course, we have to begin the month with our rolls. Okay, let's start our rolls on this exciting October. So first we're gonna roll that 12-sided die to see how many rolls. And it looks like, oh my gosh, 10. It is going to be a very, very busy month. Okay, our first roll is a cookie. Well, I do like starting out with cookies. And the prompt says, a seasonal read. Isn't that perfect? I love this prompt. I really, really do. How perfect was that? Seasonal read, you guys, and it's the season of spooky. Well, since you guys know I prefer the romance, the fantasy, the young adult fiction, I don't do a lot with horror and spookiness. But it is October, so I am embracing the very genre I always run from, and I'm trying really hard to make all my prompts also equal something spooky. So I'm relying heavily on my daughter, on my husband, on other booktubers for books that will fit these prompts. So starting with the seasonal read though, Cassidy from Covers with Cassidy is amazing. If you guys have not checked her out yet, you absolutely have to. I will link below to her videos. Picture around here somewhere of her. She is amazing. Her makeup is incredible. Her videos are full of information and good content and are absolutely hilarious. Especially check out the one where she's bobbing for apples. That's all I'm gonna say. It is hilarious. So you've got to go check her out. And she lately has been talking about the spooky read, Clown in the Cornfield or something like that, Clown in the Corn Part 2 that just came out. And so taking that, I am going to choose for this seasonal read, Clown in a Cornfield by Adam Cesar. Again, you guys know I'm horrible with names. From what I understand, it's got cornfields, which I grew up in Illinois. I know cornfields. And it's got clowns. And I'm sorry, but clowns are really spooky. So what could be spookier than those two? So I am excited to read this combination and maybe even go on for the sequel later on, like maybe next year after I've had a chance to get over the horror. Okay, roll number 2 is a peppermint. And the prompt is a historical fiction. Okay, so then we had the second roll, and the prompt there was historical fiction. And I looked and looked and looked to try to see any kind of scary historical fiction that I had. And I got something that I think is going to work for this. I chose The Druid by Jeff Wheeler. Apparently this is going to be a series, or is a series, and this is book 1 of it, so I'm glad I'm starting at the beginning. From what I understand, it follows a woman named Eileen, and she's born wrecked, I think is what it's called, or wretched. She ends up being raised in an abbey, and she's kind of a servant to a druid named Mordaunt, I think it is. And basically, she's just helping him out, and I guess along the way, she finds out that he has an ancient tome that he's like in charge of and trying to keep hidden that allows people to travel other worlds and use magic from other worlds and things like that. So to me, magic and world traveling and all of that kind of screams a Halloween-y kind of spookiness. So again, I have a low bar on spook, able to handle. So for me, that's my pick for this one. Okay, roll number 3 is another cookie. And the prompt is a black and white cover. Okay, so the next prompt was a black and white cover. I'm again kind of making it stretch a little bit. This one's mostly black and white with just a little hint of gold on there. I chose Stephen King's The Outsider. This one, I'm not normally a Stephen King fan. I think he can get a little on the pervy side, and that's so not up my alley. But nobody can deny the man knows how to write scary. And so I picked this one up because it's a newer one. According to the little sticker, it's soon to be a new HBO series, so that could be interesting too. And before I watch series that are based on books, I like to read the book first anyway. But regardless, it's supposed to be about in Oklahoma, there's like this brutal murder of a young boy in a park. The local, police officer arrests the guy that there's like tons of evidence and eyewitnesses and stuff. But everybody's kind of surprised because this guy teaches Little League and he's a teacher and like everybody knows he's a devoted husband and father. And so it just doesn't seem like it should be this guy. He seems so nice. And so it's kind of like the guy that arrested him is like, he taught my son Little League. So he's kind of starting to really look into this investigation more to see if he's being set up or does this guy have two faces and people just didn't realize it. So it's going to be kind of suspenseful, and I really like suspense more than horror. So I'm excited for this one. Roll number 4 is a coffee. And of course I get a coffee break too. But the coffee prompt says a standalone fantasy. Okay, the next prompt is a standalone fantasy. So again, I was looking at all of these various books that were online, especially YA fiction, because that's my bread and butter. But a lot of them were series, not a lot of standalones, which normally is great news for me because I prefer a series, at least a duology, if not a trilogy or more. I always prefer that over just standalones, but in this instance, I needed it for my prompt. So I finally went with one that my daughter's librarian has recommended to me multiple times, and that's Cinderella is Dead by Kaylin Bayron. And from what I understand, it's kind of a Cinderella retelling, as the title kind of suggests, only it's more dystopian because apparently the girls in this kingdom are scared to death of the day that the king chooses them to go to the ball because bad things happen to them when they're chosen. And so we're kind of following the story of Sophia, who does get chosen, and what she has to do to survive and hopefully stop the brutality. So this seems kind of dark, and I am interested and very intrigued. I've not read one like this before, so we'll see. Okay, I did get a coffee break. So this time I'm using my little tea cup that I got from one of my book boxes. And it looks like, it's always hard to do this one-handed. Come on, pink, and be good to me. Be a good one. Be nice. Be nice. You guys are probably already reading this before me. All right. Oh, it is pink. Yay! Free coffee. Gain an additional check mark on my reader card. Remember, I get those check marks, and it means I get to earn a free book. All right. Roll number 5 is a roll again, which means I get to pick. And not to sound like a lush, but I haven't had a wine glass yet, so I'm going to go for the wine. Magical realism. Okay, so the next prompt was for a magical realism, and when I was looking into magical realism, a lot of people were defining that mostly as like set in the real world, but there's some magical elements to it. So going off of that, I chose a classic from when I was younger and in middle school. I chose The Vampire's Promise, Book 1 by Carolyn B. Cooney. This follows a girl who wants so much to be popular and wants to be a cheerleader and for people to love her and just to have an easier time in school, right? And then she happens to have her family move into this house, and when she's up in this attic, this mysterious voice is talking to her and promising her she can have every dream she's ever wanted. All she has to do is give the vampire a name. And so it just kind of follows that storyline. And so it's a real short, easy read, but I remember loving this. And so my amazing husband got me the whole series. I have not reread it since being an adult, so I'll be interested to see if it holds up. Time for rule number 6. Another cookie. And it says, a beautiful cover. The next rule gave us the prompt of a beautiful cover. Now in this instance, I decided to stretch it a little bit, and instead of a beautiful cover, I decided to go with a unique or striking cover, something that grabs your attention. Because this one grabbed my attention when I was at the bookstore a while back. Again, not crazy about horror, but the title and just the way the book looked drew me in. So for this prompt, I chose A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. Now, this book is supposed to follow kind of 2 timelines from what I understand. The first being a girl gets murdered by her boyfriend and he gets arrested and all this other stuff. Well, the body's actually never found. So then you flash forward into the future, and a girl, for her senior year project, decides to investigate this murder and see exactly what happened. And from what I understand, there's some discrepancies that start popping up. So I'm very interested to see where this goes. Obviously, murder is a Halloween-y theme, and again, I always love the things that are more thriller, suspense. So that's my pick for this one. Time for rule number 7. A coffee cup. It says newest publication date. The next prompt that we got there was for the newest publication date. Now, the book I chose has 2022 on it, so it is the newest publication date. The cover is stunning, but like I said, I chose a striking cover instead. So don't let this beautiful cover make you think, gosh, Tiara, you should have chosen that one instead, because it fits this prompt better. I chose The Darkening by Sonia Mara, but it is gorgeous. From what I understand, with this one, we're following a city that is stuck in the eye of a cursed storm. And funny enough, the only hope for this city in breaking the curse and setting them free is the daughter of a failed revolutionary and a prince who's too scared to take the throne. So I'm looking forward to some humor along with some suspense and magic and darkness and cursing going on in here. Let's do rule number 8. We're getting some good ones. A wine glass. And it says, Enemies to Love story. I love that one. Okay, so this prompt was enemies to lovers trope, and you know that's my favorite one. But I still wanted to kind of go spooky. So I actually chose for this one the sequel, the second book in the Raven Boys cycle. I chose The Dream Thieves by Maggie Stiefvater. I don't want to give anything away from the first book. You guys know I really enjoyed it. You can go back and watch the review on that. But where I got the enemies to lovers was Blue and I'm going to say another boy were not instant in love. It was a bit of some bickering back and forth and stuff. So it was the kind of enemies to lovers. But in this particular book, it sounds like we're just following Ronan, who's continuing searching for the dead king. That doesn't give away a lot. And apparently there's some hidden special abilities and some nightmares that are coming true and a big secret that ends up getting revealed before he was ready for it. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen in this book. It's very spooky and I think it's perfect for this. Rule number 9. A book. And it says a short read, 300 or less pages. Hallelujah. All right, we're getting close. So this particular prompt I am so grateful for because obviously we've got 10 rolls plus that we're going on with this. So I enjoy that I get to choose a less than 300 page read. Now again, trying to still stick with the spookiness, I chose The Girl in the Locked Room by Mary Downing Hahn. Now, from what I understand, and again, it is nice and short, I think it's less than 200 even. But what I understand is a family moves into this house, and the daughter Jules kind of feels uneasy and like she's being watched, and she starts noticing things like a face that'll appear in a window up in the attic area of the house, but whenever she tries to go investigate, the only door that leads up there is always locked and she can't get in. But she just can't help that feeling that she's being watched. So traditional spooky, ghosty kind of vibes, and I'm excited to read this. Okay, time for the last rule, rule number 10. And it's another book. Oh, I think that's perfect to end on. And it says to fulfill a bingo square. Actually, I have already fulfilled my bingo for the year. So I'll draw the next card. The book prompt says a book with a pink cover. That's going to be hard for spooky season. Okay, for this one, pink cover, really? How many horror books do you know out there that have a pink cover? So I'm going to stretch it with this one, guys. I'm sorry, but there is pink in this one, and it's been on my TBR list for a while. I chose White Smoke by Tiffany D. Jackson. From what I understand, this follows a girl named Marigold who is kind of running from the ghosts of her past, and she and her family move, I believe it's California, and they move into this house, and shortly after being in this new house with a new blended family, some things start happening, almost like the house is haunted. So maybe some of these ghosts followed Marigold. So I'm intrigued. I can't wait to see what this one's going to be like. Okay, now it's time for the Apothecary Jar Pick. Really hoping Owl Crate picks nice for me. It doesn't give me something too horrible. It says, if I can get this to focus, Shadow and Bone by Leah Bardugo. Okay, so I'm excited about that Apothecary Jar Pick. It's one that's been on my bookshelf up there for a very long time. Several of the YouTubers out there that are watching me, you guys know that it's been on your list too, and I've heard good and bad things. But I am still excited to read Shadow and Bone by Leah Bardugo. I believe, and forgive me if I'm completely wrong, this is something I'm trying to remember from whenever I first put it on my TBR list, but I believe that it follows a young girl. Her name, I think, is Alina Starkov, and she's a soldier. She goes out, her regiment gets attacked because they have to fight these monsters in this unnatural darkness area. And when they're getting attacked, she unleashes magic that she didn't even know that she had. And once it's obvious that she has these powers, she gets thrust into the royal area and has to do all the palace intrigue and politics and all of that. And they're trying to train her how to harness this power to kind of help their torn world. But while she's going through all of that, she's discovering secrets that I believe kind of change how she sees everything. And yeah, I know it's not really spooky, but there are monsters, and so I always think politics are scary, so I think it still fits our theme. And just like I hinted at in my announcement with Coffee Chat video, I'm also going to continue doing one Bookopoly pick each time. And I rolled a 3. So taking my little marker, because I just really enjoyed it for September, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. And the prompt for that one says, a big book, over 500 pages. Ouch. Okay, so just in case you've forgotten, Bookopoly was completely created by Becca from Becca and the Books. So I'm going to make sure to put up her picture and stuff here for you guys, and a link down below to her channel. She also is amazing. She always has gorgeous makeup on, nails done. She has a lot of fun content. She's always up to date on everything. And even her unhauling that she does of her bookshelves are just so much fun to watch. So I highly recommend her as well. But since she did create this game, and it is so much fun, I decided each month I'm going to do a roll and try to use the prompt it provides with the theme of the month. So again, going into spooky, unfortunately I landed on the 500-page one. So I guess that kind of offsets the fact I got one that said small read earlier, so wah wah. Well, I decided to go with one my husband has been recommending for a while, and that's The Poet by Michael Connelly. It's just over 500. I think it was like 501 or 502. But it follows a homicide cop named Jack McAvoy, and he's following a serial killer who actually targets homicide cops. And he's kind of, chasing him around, I think getting close, and then the serial killer actually ends up going for his brother, his twin brother. So I'm excited. I'm going to be on the edge of my seat with this one. And so far, my stack is going to be completely terrifying, and I'm probably not going to sleep at all this month, you guys. Okay, so like I said, I also want to join in on the book club that Cassidy does in her channel, Covers with Cassidy. I'm going to make sure to put a picture up here so you guys can go visit her, and links below. And again, like I've mentioned before, she's absolutely amazing. But anyway, with her book club, which is Backlist Books, and I'm also going to link the Instagram account down below. Please join. It's going to be so much fun. The book that was chosen for the month of October was The Shadow of What Was Lost by James Islington. In case you can't tell by looking at the front, it's a chunky book. It's, I want to say, around 700 pages. So there's going to be a lot for me to be reading. For what I understand, it follows the main character, Davian, who, before he was even born, there was a war between these individuals called augurs who were gifted and those who were not. And apparently the augurs lost somehow. And after that, they put in these rules they called tenets that anybody that is born gifted has to follow. And so it kind of limits their powers from what I understand. And so Davian, unfortunately, was born gifted. And so he has to follow all these rules. He has to train at a special school and all these things. Well, then as time goes on, Davian finds out that he's actually got the full power of like the augurs. And as soon as that comes to realization, it changes everything. So I'm excited to dive into this. The book club, just so you're not intimidated by this, does give you 2 months to read them. So I'm just a moron and I like a challenge, I guess. But definitely feel free to take up the full 2 months when you join in to read each book. Now, I also had promised that starting this month that I was going to do some extra picks. That included a number generator for my TBR list because I really need to start whittling this sucker down. Not even counting what's in the Apothecary Jar, I'm now up to 150 books on this list. So I really need to start whittling them down. I asked my husband to pick a number and he chose number 87. And that gave us A Deadly Education by Naomi Noville. This one, thankfully, is also spooky themed, so that's kind of perfect. Dark academia. It follows Elle, who's a girl at a school called a Schoolomance, which is a school for the magically gifted. And basically, from what I understand, this school says you better succeed because if you fail, it will literally cost you your life. So I'm interested in seeing what this does and how it plays out. Also, I know, can you believe there's more? I like to do a readathon every month when I can, which, spoiler, February, I'll be doing my own readathon, so please stay tuned for that. Shameless plug. Going on. For the month of October, though, there was one already set in motion that looked so fabulous to me, and it was called Spookathon, and this is being put on by Reading with Rylan. I will make sure to link her information below specific to this video so that you can sign up as well and join me. I'm on Team Serial Killer. I know, right? What are the odds? But it sounded the best. All the prompts that follow under and get you points for your team, those all seem like ones I would definitely not have a problem reading. And I think some of the picks that happen with my rolls today are going to go pretty nicely with that. But they do give you bonus points if you read the team book. And so I'm also adding to my TBR for the month the team book, We Were Never Here by Andrea Bartz. From what I understand, this book follows two best friends who are the ride and die kind of, besties, and that every year they meet up, and not only do they have fun catching up, but they go on some kind of an epic adventure. Unfortunately, this year, some problems happen when they go on this adventure, and some dark and twisty stuff happens. I look forward to reading that and seeing what that brings. And because I'm a glutton for punishment, but I also think October should have to do with a lot of magic and fun things like that, I got wind from Kim from Whimsical Narratives. I'm going to make sure to plug her in up there and link below because I love her and her channel. She hit 1,000 subscribers. So proud and excited for her. She's mentioned before co-hosting and being a part of Magical Readathon. Apparently this happens twice a year from Book Roast. I'm going to make sure to plug her in too, and again, a link below. I had no idea this existed, and it looks so cool. And it starts you off with creating a character, kind of like if you were in D&D, using various book prompts. And then after you build your character, you go through the novice path that takes you to a school called Orilliium. And then once you're there, you get to choose, what academy you're going to graduate from and your curriculum and stuff. I'm not there yet. I'll explain it more whenever I actually unfold this whole process. I'm just starting out. So for this month, I'm at the very least going to start off on the novice path. Isn't that cool? She gives you all these printouts. It's fantastic, you guys. You have to visit her channel. She's beautiful. She's amazing. She's funny. She's real. But she created this whole thing. So anyway, the novice path starts you here at the entrance and then you go through. Well, the entrance has its own prompt, which is the one I'm adding to my TBR this month. And that prompt was for a book that had a map in it. And so I chose Wicked Saints by Emily A. Duncan. And I will open it up for you so that you can see that there is in fact a map in here. Of course, I probably should have sticky noted it so I could have pulled it up right away for you guys. So it fulfills that prompt, which makes me excited. And from what I understand about this, it's going to be, I think, like a centuries-long war has been going on. So I guess I've got a couple books with war themes. But that there's basically 3 different storylines going on, and they kind of get, these 3 different paths get entwined, and it's a shadowy world. There's blood, there's saints, there's magic, there's all kinds of craziness that happens in here. So as you can see from the blood drip here, so it's definitely in theme with the spooky October, and I'm excited to do that. Even if I don't get any further than the entrance of the novice path, at least I'm starting to get caught up, and each month I will make sure to at least do one, so that maybe by the time that she comes rolling around next year with her Magical Readathon, I can join that. Okay, so that covers all the reading. That being said, another thing I wanted to make sure to add to my monthly book rolls and stuff are also the 3 most anticipated new releases that are coming out this month. So I want to let you know, they're not really spooky related, but I am excited about them. The first one is The Atlas Paradox by Olivia Blake. Of course, this is the sequel to the Atlas 6. I'm very excited to see how this goes. You know how my review went of the Atlas 6 last month. If not, check out that video. The second one I'm excited about is Mad Honey by Jodi Picoult. The third one is A Curse of Queens by Amanda Bouchette. So I'm super excited to read all of these as well if I have time. Because I am, like I said, trying to continue the novice path, and I have a sizable stack of books that I need to be reading this month, and of course having nightmares with, because they're all horror and scary. Also, I don't want to forget to mention, of course, I had my writing roles as well that I needed to do, and here those are. Okay, now we're going to find out how many roles we have for the writing prompts. 1. Oh, that's going to be fantastic. With all the reading I have to do, I am appreciating that. And it's a peppermint. And it says to listen to 2 writer podcasts. Oh, my rules were so kind to me. Thank goodness. 1 role, and it ended up being to listen to some podcasts. Oh, thank goodness. With all the reading there is to do. Whew. Okay. So thankfully, I ended up choosing my 2 podcasts. Now, of course, these are supposed to be writing related. So the first one is the Creative Writer's Tool Belt. I'm excited to see what kind of tools they're going to offer up and what kind of goodies I can glean from listening to this. The second one, however, isn't strictly a writing podcast. However, I do think that what helps out a lot is to be organized, and with that comes usually planners. And so this is one that I found a while back, almost a year ago. Absolutely love these 2 girls. Highly recommend you guys check them out. That's Planners and Wine with Megan and Myra. They are hysterical. Just a heads up, they are unashamedly opinionated. So even if you don't agree with their opinions, just respect that they are putting this on at their own expense, and that these girls they have good hearts, and they just seem to be really open-minded, open-hearted, and real. They're so real. They'll tell it how it is. And I think that's hilarious, and it's so much fun. And they have guests that come on and that they interview, and then they review, of course, planners and stuff too, always seeking that planner piece, even if you have to franken plan. Different terms like that I have learned from them since listening, and they are fantastic. So I plan on listening to them as well for this prompt. So thank you guys so much for joining me and my plethora of books I'm going to be reading, and the exciting new releases we're looking forward to, the readathons that we're hopefully going to join together. And I just hope you guys have a fabulous October. There's going to be lots coming out, and don't forget my birthday is going to hold something a little special vlog-wise as well. And make sure you like, subscribe, send your friends, and we look forward to hitting 100 sometime, guys. Take care.